content marketing world because of the people. It is a conference with a heart.
The community.
The community.
The community and the connections.
Like sincere, long-term, lifetime friendships start here.
I've never come here and not gotten hugs.
I've been coming here since the very first one. It's like family.
Just a family.
It's like a family. This is like a decade I've been coming here.
Everyone is excited to be here, to learn, to connect with others.
People are friendly. You know, a lot of time when you go to conferences and people tend to be like, Well, right here, people say hi.
There's plenty to do. There's a good balance of work and pleasure, and there's a lot of fun, too, to this conference.
Parties! Who doesn't like a good party?
It's really cool to be around so many like-minded people.
One of the most giving industries I've ever been a part of.
You want to be here so that you can build these necessary connections so that it not only fuels your business, but it also fuels your life.
Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. Excuse me. Thanks for joining me for this Ask the CM World community live stream, where each time we dive into a new topic with an awesome member of our CM World community. And if you didn't know, this live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for, you guessed it, all things content marketing. So you can head on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com for all kinds of resources and educational content. And I want to tell you about a very important research we have coming out on Wednesday, our second annual career and salary survey. We interviewed marketers from across the globe, and we asked them about AI and how it's going to impact how it is impacting their careers and their jobs. Some really great eye-opening results. So look for that on contentmarketinginstitute.com on Wednesday. Great report that we want to make sure you check out. So I am so excited for today's guest. Avinash Kaushik is going to be a keynote speaker at Content Marketing World and our Marketing Analytics and Data Conference that we call MADS, which is at the same time. And today we're going to chat with him about the art and science of marketing, how to use data and analytics to create successful content and marketing, and how AI will impact your work. So the countdown is on for both of these events. As I said, they're happening at the same time. Let me take down my little graphic there. Happening at the same time, September 26th to the 28th in Washington, D.C. If you want to know more or to register, head over to the links are there, contentmarketingworld.com or madsconference.com. And like today, and for the next few weeks leading up to the event, we'll be featuring some of our speakers from Content Marketing World right here on the live stream. And so we're very excited for all our speakers, not only Avinash, but we also announced our celebrity keynote, which is Elizabeth Banks. So we are super excited for that as well. So I hope that you can join us for one of our conferences there. All right. So as you join me today, you know the routine. Give me a virtual wave, say hello, let me know where you're joining us from. We love to hear from all of you. If you have a question or a comment, be sure to drop it in the comments below. It always makes for a more engaging live stream when we hear from all of you. So let's get the ball rolling. I think we all know this. We hear from marketers all the time, right? Measurement, something that they all struggle with. So what are your biggest pain points when it comes to data, analytics, or measurement? I'm sure you have them. We hear about it all the time. So feel free to share that with us as we go along. We'd love to hear what all of you are talking about. All right. So you guys are checking in. Yes. Let me know. Say hello. Let me know where you're joining us from. All right. Today, very excited. This is a leader in the digital analytics space. Avinash Kaushik is the author of 2 best-selling books, Web Analytics 2.0. He was at Google for 16 years, where he was part of the team that launched I don't know if you've heard of it, the Google Analytics tool. He's now the global chief strategy officer at Croud, a leading full-service marketing agency. He's got a popular blog. He's got a newsletter. So thank you so much, Avinash, for joining us today.
Hello. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I was so excited when the lady said party.
You will hopefully get to experience that firsthand. And Pam is a great member of our community, and she really does love a good party. So that's what content marketing world is all about. All right, I'm gonna admit here, I was a little worried about interviewing you. I mean, you're a data person, analytics person, you're an engineer. So I know nothing about any of these things, but then I started my research for this interview. You're a successful and prolific content creator yourself, and you'll be speaking at our MADS audience, which are the data scientist folks, as well as our content and marketing audience at CM World. So can you just sort of, first of all, run through your marketing philosophy? How do you see both the science, the data part of it, and the creative, the art of it working together?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question, and so I tend to think of marketing in its holistic in a holistic way. So a little while back, I had created this framework because I don't like funnels, and funnels are just too narrow in terms of influence. But I created this framework called See, Think, Do, and Care. And it's a framework that allows you to think about marketing in the most expansive way. And so as somebody who publishes content, I write a weekly newsletter that raises money for charity every year. And I have to think about, okay, how do I monetize that? How do I put it out there? What do my data and analytics look like? And on the other side, we run all these campaigns around direct mailers. We send out paid search, or all these other kinds of things where we're trying to drive conversions. As there's a different approach you take to performance. But I think marketing lives its fullest glory when we are able to figure out, here are things you do over the short term that drive value. Here are things you do over the medium term that drive value. And here are things that you do over the long term that drive value. And how do you sort of put all of these things together is sort of the bringing together of the art and the science, because we want to make sure we do the kind of marketing that's allowing us to meet our quarterly revenue numbers, profit numbers. But at the same time, you want to build this large, expansive relationship with consumers who might consider buying in the future, or people who may never buy your products and services, but you have to get to them and influence them because they have influence over a much larger pool of customers. So I tend to think of marketing in all of those shapes and sizes. And what is difficult, and I think what our colleagues, I see Kim and Brian and Lisa, or what they're having as challenges is all related to figuring out, well, if I run a bunch of advertisements on TikTok, are they driving revenue now? Should I think about it like that? Or should I think about them as my extension of my brand that would allow us to create value for the company over a longer period of time? And the thing that goes wrong in our space is sort of perfectly captured by this one of my favorite metaphors, which is never judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. We do that all the time. And that's what sort of creates suckiness in our life. Because we'll say, if TikTok is not producing revenue, it stinks. Or we'll say, hey, if all paid search can do for me is drive revenue, but not extend the number of new customers, then it stings. Because all of these are questions around judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. So most of the time, I spend time figuring out it's a fish. Let's figure out what it does best, and then judge its ability to swim.
I love that. I'm gonna steal that one for sure. I love it. Diane says, I couldn't agree more with what he's saying. So, and you've just started here. So yes, Diane, I agree as well. And we're gonna get to more of what he talked about there a second ago. But it's no secret marketers struggle with measurement, right? So we hear this all the time at CMI. And nowadays, right, there's so much data available to marketers. It's overwhelming, it's complicated, but it can be helpful, right? So what do you tell marketers, data scientists about how to get the right data or how to get the data to work for you?
Yeah, so I have a collection of frameworks I use in order to figure out, okay, what is the right place to focus, because the thing that you don't want to do is think of data pukes as a solution to the problem, and yet most tools out there just puke lots and lots of data out. So I'm sort of a very big fan of this approach I call the a digital marketing measurement model or marketing measurement model. And what it does is it's a really simple framework. And Amanda, I'll send you a link. We can put them in show notes or email them to people. But what it does is really simple. It says, what is the purpose of marketing that you're doing? And then in over 3 steps, it simply helps you figure out, okay, if this is the purpose, then we should focus on this kind of data, and that means we should use these KPIs. And so for us, using that approach is a really great way to figure out if you are measuring the right thing. Normally, I recommend that whether you do owned, earned, or paid advertising or marketing, doesn't really matter which of those 3 things you're doing. Figure out how to coalesce around maybe 2 to 3 KPIs, usually 2. And what I recommend is pick an efficiency KPI, pick an effectiveness KPI, and zero in on that. So for example, let's say we're doing paid marketing. And so if we're doing paid marketing, then our effectiveness KPI is usually revenue or profit. And then the efficiency KPI is the cost per order, right? And between these 2 things, elevated to KPIs, you will be able to find and focus your attention. Now, underneath that, you can have other metrics, but just to KPIs. Now let's say that we're doing, we're producing lots of content on YouTube, let's say. So in that case, what we want is effectiveness and efficiency KPIs. And so we can say, for example, for YouTube, for our content, the number of net new subscribers per video is an effectiveness KPI, because if we're able to glean attention and get people to pay attention to us, then that's really great. And on the efficiency side, you can say, well, every video we produce, we want people to reshare it. Because if you reshare it, you go from the first level network to the second level network to the third level network. You expand your audience. And so there you go, just 2 KPIs. So I've given you sort of 2 really simple examples. But what you want to do is figure out what your effectiveness KPI is. It will be just 1. Figure out what the efficiency KPI is. It will be just 1. And between those 2, you probably have most of the insights you need to see to understand if our efforts are delivering value back to our business. Later in the discussion, we can talk about long and short term, right? That's totally okay. But that's like a effectiveness, efficiency. Just those 2 sort of brother-sister KPIs will help you bring a lot of focus to the work that you're doing and avoid data puking.
Yeah. So it's you've talked about, I've heard you talk about this. It's you have to ignore some of the data, right? You can't, you set people more and more data. It's like, I need more data, but you really don't necessarily need more data, right?
No, that's the thing is, I think, for the longest time, I tell this story when I write that I used to be in a world where having more data meant that you were smarter. That was 20 years ago. Now we have more data than God wants anybody to have. So in fact, honestly, being smart is all about being able to figure out what data to ignore so that we're able to focus our attention, because there is so much data we have access to about everything. And also, I really do think, Amanda, we should sort of form strong opinions about something. Like, I hate the metric impressions. It's useless. It's just like worth not even a penny. It's just like, okay, I hate impressions. If you bring impressions, I'm gonna get mad at you. So, but the whole idea is like you understand the landscape enough to say, I'm gonna ignore, because it doesn't have enough value inherent in it, and that's sort of what makes our approach to using data smarter.
Awesome. So if you're just joining us, I'm with Avinash Kaushik with Croud. He's going to be a keynote speaker, content marketing world, and our MADS conference. We're talking data, analytics, measurement. I see people joining us from Missouri, Lynn from Pennsylvania, Lisa from Detroit, Peter from Berlin. So hello. Thank you all for joining us. So Avinash, you've been talking about this, but like many others, you believe this traditional marketing funnel just doesn't exist anymore. And so this framework you've been talking about, you call intent-centric marketing. So do you want to walk us through this a little bit more and why you think it's better?
Yeah, of course. So for the longest amount of time, we didn't really understand. We didn't have enough data. We didn't really understand how to actually do marketing in an effective way. So we said, okay, we're going to think about this funnel, and our job as marketers is just shove people down the frickin' funnel. And the problem is, none of us behave that way, right? We all have insurance right now for cars, let's say, and we're all in the ambience thinking about what we need next, and so on and so forth. So we're not really in the traditional funnel. But at the same time, what we need to do is figure out a better signal. For example, Amanda, to a marketer in the past, all we would know is, oh, here's Amanda, and she lives in the Midwest, and she is 22 years old, and she has a very nice home. So let's sell her, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is your demographics and psychographics say very little about what you're thinking, what kind of person you are, what your values are, and all of those things. And so you would get idiotic and irrelevant advertising, because all they can think about it is, oh, we have a 22-year-old in the Midwest in a very nice home, very good salary, and they'll just bombard you with irrelevant crap. And now out of 100 things, maybe one is relevant to you. But we don't have to do that anymore, because what we can do is discern intent through a consumer's behavior. The simplest example of this is that you type a query into Bing. And so you'll say, I would like a new hybrid car. And that you're expressing your intent, and Bing will use that to deliver the right advertising to you. That's the simplest one, right? Or you are on Facebook and you follow certain brands, or you write about a certain thing, and we can discern your intent from that. And that's like a much better way to deliver advertising or marketing to you, whether it's a paid ad or it's a piece of content. It doesn't really matter, right? Or lastly, my favorite example is, I'm a huge fan of Patagonia. I love the brand. I love its ethos. And what Patagonia understands is it basically uses content to do marketing. So I get a booklet from Patagonia every month or every 2 months, and there's very few ads in it. It actually is all about stories, about climbing, about the environment, about being nice to planet Earth, so on and so forth, because they understand my intent through my behavior is that is what I'm all about, and they're able to market to my values. And so intent-centric marketing is all about being able to discern intent of the person. And then Amanda, maybe you love to wear men's underwear. I don't know, like I did some crazy thing, right? And that's okay. That power to you. And through your expressed behavior, it's like, oh, you know what? We shouldn't be advertising women's underwear. For Amanda, we should be advertising men's underwear. And she loves the content about, I'm making up an example for you. But this whole idea around get away from what people look like externally, what they live, their demographics and psychographics. Don't worry that Amanda is 22 years old. Her age is irrelevant. If we understood her intent, we can deliver the right piece of content to her. And sometimes that content happens to be an ad. But think of content first. Think of relevance first. And for me, that is what intent-centric marketing is all about. It's annoying fewer people and delivering more delight through relevance.
I am 22 years old. Thanks for letting everybody know that. Jamie says, I love shoving people down the funnel. LOL. Yes. And guess what? Marketers still tried to do that, right? That hasn't changed. And then Kim says, hold up here, being smart is all about figuring out what data to ignore. So true. How should marketing leaders and marketing analytics teams work together to decide what to ignore? Who should drive this ignore the data conversation?
No, it's a fantastic question, Kim. And so what you want to is look for a framework or a tool that you can use in order to drive that conversation. So I have a couple of different approaches that I use. But maybe the one I'll share with you, Kim, is I built this thing a few years ago when I was at Google that I call the impact matrix. And what it does is it takes about 60 or so most commonly used metrics, puts them into 4 quadrants. A basic, sorry, somebody told me don't call things basic. Solid foundation, and then intermediate and advanced. And Kim, if you go to my LinkedIn right now, on my first piece of content, you'll see the impact matrix linked there. So that's why I'm sharing it, because it's easy for you to find it. And what the impact matrix does is it's the tool you will use to bring together your leadership to your measurement, your marketing team, and say, okay, let's look at our 4 biggest dashboards. What are the metrics we have on them? Now let's go back and look at Avinash's impact matrix. Do they fall into solid foundation, intermediate, or advanced, right? And it can be a really great tool to figure out what data you want to ignore. By the way, on the bottom right, the most loser metric you will see is impressions. If you have impressions, the impact matrix will tell you, hey, Avinash says ignore that one. But what you want, of course, is ultimately to be on the top right. So the 4 quadrants, right? And what the impact matrix will help you do is have that conversation based on a framework, and then actually create a plan that says, we're here today, how do we get there? And you'll have talent inside your company, or you'll have talent you can hire from Content Marketing Institute, or you can call Croud, you can call some other agency, and they can help you if you don't have the talent in-house. But using something like the impact matrix is a really great tool in order to have that conversation.
We will link that for everyone else as well. We'll pull that up at your LinkedIn and put that on there as well. And I want to get to this because, right, everyone's talking about AI. So much fear around it. How is it going to impact everything? How's it going to take my job, right? How's it going to change the marketing? So what is your view of AI, and how marketers can or should be using it to do their jobs better, and how will it impact how we use data? Should we be worried? What's going on, Avinash?
Yeah. So I am an AI optimist. So I'll just put that off the bat. I do not think the world is going to end, and so on and so forth. And in fact, look, before I answer your question, and maybe I'll say this in my keynote as well, I actually think it's important not to lose sight of the fact that machine learning, AI, and deep learning will actually make the human race better in many different ways. As an example, I am very passionate about criminal justice reform in the United States. I'm using AI to help judges to figure out how to make bail decisions better using data, rather than what the individual person who comes in front of them looks like. Or I worked with teams on breast cancer detection, diabetic retinopathy, and things like that, where there are millions of people that don't have access to doctors whose condition can be detected using this very simple contraption using AI, and they won't go blind. So one thing I really, really want you to know is that AI is having all of these positive implications on our life, which keep an eye on that, okay? Second, let's talk about marketing and measurement. So for me, what has been really exciting, and I'll share this in my keynote, more specific stories and examples that you all can apply. So please go sign up for the conference. Very, very important. Amanda has been very shy, so let me promote the conference first. One of the first things is, we've talked a lot about data. What do we ignore? What do we look at? One of the cool things is the machine learning solutions that we are building into analytics tools now allow me to avoid data puking. Rather than me going hunting and pecking into the data and figuring out what I should look for, I just get a report that says, these are 3 things you should pay attention to. And so that is enabled using machine learning. So if you log into tools like Google Analytics, for example, or many other analytics tools in the market, there's usually a report called intelligence that gives you this insight faster. So you don't have to pour through data to figure out what's important. It finds hidden things inside your data and surfaces them. So that's one example. The second example that I'll give you is, it's really hard in a sea of data to figure out how to infer Amanda's intent. And these algorithms are so fantastic at being able to analyze data at scale automatically and help you find the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. So I'm really excited about their ability to infer intent versus my ability to infer intent. So every ad that Amanda might see for a paid advertising thing might be actually relevant to her, or even I write a weekly newsletter. So in order to figure out what piece of content might be relevant if I were a business for each person, the AI solutions now help us figure out how to do one-to-one marketing in a way that was unfathomable a few years ago. The last thing I'll mention that I am personally very excited is companies have always struggled to balance brand and performance advertising. Like, how much money should we allocate to things that drive revenue right now versus how do we even measure brand in the first place, not touchy-feely metrics like unaided awareness, consideration, intent, or please don't use this KPI, but brand love. How do we figure that out versus performance? And what is really amazing, the most bleeding edge use that I'm making with machine learning right now is to figure out how to understand the performance impact of brand advertising. How to understand that if we have been doing email and television commercials, as well as sending stories to our customers in catalogs, how do all of this actually work together to identify what marketing's incrementality is? That is where I'm applying most amount of effort. So for our clients, we're able to differentiate between those two and go to the CFO and say, if you put all marketing together, doesn't matter what it was, marketing drove 32% of all sales incrementally, which means if you did not give Addison and Charlie and Kim the budget to do their marketing, you would not have gotten these sales. I call this like the God KPI for the CFO. What's marketing's incrementality? I'm using machine learning to identify that and then sort of cascade from there and say, this is the long-term impact of email marketing that has nothing to do with sales. This is the long-term impact of TikTok or whatever we think about as content marketing. Because at the moment, it's really hard to justify content marketing over the long term. But using machine learning, you can answer that question. So for me, those few vignettes help you understand how machine learning is making us smarter about being able to find the data and insights that we can activate without having to wade through data pukes. And second, to be able to do incredible imaginative marketing that was not possible in the past. And lastly, actually go to the CFO, maybe for the first time, and say, here's the God metric. Now give me another $20 million.
I love it. The God metric. That's my favorite, I think, of today. So Diane says, I was a little afraid of the topic. Me too, Diane, but he is great. The embodiment of great content. So you have to come and hear Avinash speak at Content Marketing World. And Mads, let me pop up the graphic here. It's coming up September 26th through 28th in Washington, D.C. You can go to madsconference.com or contentmarketingworld.com. I guarantee you want to come and hear Avinash speak. This has been great. He also has a newsletter, Marketing Analytics Intersect. So go check that out as well. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today and for all of your comments. You came from all over. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Avinash for your time. You were lovely. I can't wait to meet you in Washington, D.C.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me, Amanda. It was great.
All right. Thank you. Have a good week, everyone. See ya.